So, welcome everyone. Good evening. It is a pleasure and honor for me to be meeting you here today. And I hope that what you are here for this evening on the topic of perseverance, 9 ways that you can help your child to develop this one skill for success. So, welcome to this session this evening. And I hope that your being here will be able to give you specific ideas, specific learning that will be useful for you, because when we talk about this number one skill, even though the focus for this evening is on developing the child to develop this perseverance, at the same time, we as adults, we need this. So in such a way that I hope that when you are here, you'll be able to shift between that thinking about developing perseverance for others and also developing perseverance for self. So I would like to again welcome you and thank you for joining us this evening. And just a quick reminder that these sessions are organized by the Institute of Neurosemantics Malaysia, which represents the International Society of Neurosemantics and the Meta Coach Foundation here in Malaysia. So we have weekly sessions. The first week of the month, the topic is on neurosemantics. The second session of the month, the topic is on self-leadership. The third Thursday of the month is on the meta coaching system, and the fourth Thursday of the month is on parenting. And if there is a fifth Thursday of the month, then that is when I am off. Okay. So again, welcome. I'm Mazuki. I'm a neurosemantics trainer and meta coach. I represent Malaysia in the leadership team of the International Society of Neurosemantics. I help people to systematically develop skills in leading, communicating, and coaching to bring out the best in yourself and others. In the 60 minutes or so together this evening, we'll be discussing about 9 ways that you can help your child to develop perseverance for success in life. I will, as usual, pause for discussion after each main point or after a couple of points. This is to invite your experiences, your comments, your contributions, or if you have any questions. So this is a time for you to explore that particular point further. My style is to be light and humorous. So if I laugh or smile, I'm never laughing at you, but at our silly human qualities. My purpose is to lighten up things, reduce being serious, and be more real. So let's dive into the topic that we have for this evening, and that is perseverance. At its simplest, perseverance is the act of working toward your goal despite challenges and setbacks. It's the persistence you display even if there is a delay in achieving goals or success. People who have long-term goals often lose focus and direction. It's difficult not to lose motivation and enthusiasm after a certain point. However, perseverance teaches you how to continue working hard until you succeed. Perseverance is the number one soft skill that sets children who are highly motivated apart from those who give up easily. Studies have supported that perseverance is the stronger predictor of success than IQ in both adults and children. Children who have perseverance don't give up in the face of setbacks. They believe the efforts will pay off, so they stay motivated to work hard and finish what they start, despite any barriers that arise. Now, I'd just like to give credit regarding this session, that this session is inspired by Michelle Boba, an educational psychologist, a parenting expert, and author. Now, let's deep dive into the 9 ways that parents can help kids build perseverance. Before we do that, what I'd like to mention is that I suspect that you already know all of these 9 ways. So the focus of this session is to affirm your practices and to discuss your experiences in using them, whether you are using them for your children or whether it is you using them for yourself in order to persevere. So let's take the first point. And the first point is to fight the factors that discourage children. And if it is for ourselves, to fight the factors that discourage us. There are 4 factors that derail perseverance. So the first step here is to fight these 4 factors. So what are these factors that derail or discourage children? One is fatigue. So as parents, you want to safeguard your child's concentration abilities by sticking to regular routines that makes them feel healthy. So we are talking about sleep, we are talking about rest, we are talking about nutrition, we are talking about physical activity. So as parents, you want to make sure that the children are getting these in the right dosage. And also to turn off devices at least 1 hour before bedtime and keep screens outside of the bedroom at night. So with children, that is the role that you as parents need to play. So, and for yourself, you want to take care that you are recharged on a daily basis. So how do you overcome fatigue? In my case, how I overcome fatigue in my life is I make sure that I have the right food, not too much, not too little, enough to sustain my body on a daily basis, and rest. I ensure that I go to bed well before midnight so that I can wake up early in the morning. And physical activity, just like this morning, I went for my normal morning walk. So all of those activities are critically designed or deliberately designed to wash our body of the fatigue that we experience on a daily basis so that we can experience more vitality. So that's the first one. The second one is that we want to fight the factor of anxiety. Anxiety is the pressure to succeed, and the pressure to succeed can cause overwhelming feelings. So as parents, you want to express to your child that your love is not contingent on their success. Similarly, as adults, we want to be able to overcome anxiety. Anxiety comes from pessimistic thinking. So having the right strategy to neutralize pessimism and then move your thinking into optimistic thinking, that will overcome anxiety for ourselves. The third factor that discourages children is identity that is solely based on achievement. And sometimes parents fall into this trap of teaching children to identify themselves with their achievements. What you want to do as parents is to instill a growth mindset. So your child understands that success is not fixed. Praise them for their efforts and not their results. So this is key. Similarly, for us as adults, we want to be able to separate self from behavior so that we embrace and accept our achievements at the same time to not allow our achievements affect our identity. So that comes with esteeming self unconditionally. Now, the fourth factor here is learning expectations that don't match abilities. So set expectations just slightly above your child's skill level. Expectations that are too high can cause anxiety. That's the third, that's the second factor. Expectations that are too high can cause anxiety, while ones that are too low can lead to boredom, and that creates another issue as well. So with our children, we want to be able to set expectations that are just slightly above their current competency. And similarly for ourselves, we want to set expectations that are just slightly above our competency, that cause us to feel empowered to overcome them, because we know that we will be able to overcome them. And in that way, we are doing things that are not discouraging us. So these are the four factors that discourage children. And as parents, what we want to do is to set ourselves up with respect to our children, to notice if any of these factors that discourage children, to be able to help them to overcome these factors. So I'll pause here at this first point just to check with you with respect to what are your thoughts at this moment with respect to how you are overcoming the factors that discourage children. Also, what are your strategies in order to overcome factors that may discourage you? So let me hear your thoughts for this moment. Go ahead.
Basically, is for me is like do what you love and love what you do. So you motivate yourself by doing something that you're really passionate in. So when the challenges come in, because the love is so great, right? It overcome the fears, the anxiety. If let's say every day you are motivated by anxiety, someone is keep chasing you, the KPI, you are afraid you are not achieving your KPI, right? So you are pushing yourself to a very harsh and also unfriendly to yourself as well.
Yes.
So it's not good for your physical and also mind and soul.
Yes. Wow. Thank you for that insight, Guat Ching. Appreciate that very much. Yeah.
No
Anna,
worries.
anything that you like to add? You're good? Okay. Then let's move to our second and third points, because these points are rather short. The second point, in order to help our children to develop perseverance in their life, is to teach them that mistakes are growth opportunities. You see, the other end of the spectrum is that some parents may unconsciously communicate to the child that mistakes are fatal, that the world has just blown apart, and that will create a situation whereby the child lives in fear and anxiety. So what you want to do as parents is to teach that mistakes are growth opportunities. Remind your kids that mistakes can be a positive thing, even if a situation doesn't turn out the way they expected. Accept the errors and tell them it's okay to mess up. It's okay to make mistakes. What matters is your effort. You tried, you attempted, you put in the effort in order to do that. And this is part of leadership by example. You as parent to want to also admit your own missteps too, your own mistakes. This will help them to recognize that everyone makes mistakes, and that success happens when you don't let setbacks define you. The thing about goals that are worthy of your achievement requires effort, requires trial and error, and in so doing, you will encounter setback. You will make mistakes in achieving them. So letting the child to say that it's okay to make mistake. I learn from my mistake. I remember when my youngest daughter, Sophia, when she was a young child, it becomes almost automatic for her. When she was about 3, 4 years old, whenever that she makes mistake, she'll just go, oops, I just made a mistake. It's okay to make mistake. I learn from my mistake. That becomes almost a mantra for her. So in this way, we are teaching our children to accept mistakes. The thing about it is that what is it that you learn from that mistake? And I remember Sophia again when she was small. Whenever she make mistake and her mommy were to go to her, she would say, okay, so what is it that I learned from the mistakes? So almost automatically, she'll be ready for that question. So what did you learn? Instead of chastising your child for making the mistake, accepting it, and then asking them, what did you learn from that mistake? In that way, you are teaching your child that mistakes are growth opportunities. Next point that I would like to bring up is that to chunk tasks. If the tasks are too big, it appears almost impossible to do it because it is too complex for them to be able to do them. So teaching your children to divide big tasks into smaller, more manageable chunks will help them to feel more confident about completing things over time. So in their mind, they are not seeing this big thing that I have to complete. They are looking at, okay, I'm just completing that. I'm just completing that. I'm just completing that. So chunk it into small bite-sized pieces that they can handle. If they're feeling frustrated with a math worksheet, for example, have them take a separate sheet of paper and cover all the math problems except the top row so that their eyes are seeing only one problem. Then continue lowering the paper down to the next row as they finish each one. So you are teaching them to handle one problem at a time. Or if they are feeling overwhelmed by the sheer amount of homework they have, they can write down each assignment on a sticky note. Stack them by difficulty and do one task at a time. And this is exactly the strategy that I have been using in the last few months, because there are so many things that I need to do in so many areas. So what I do is that I have this task app that I diligently record the tasks, and each day when I come to the office, when I come to work, I'll just drag and drop the tasks into the what I need to do today, and then I just focus on that. So this is what we call chunking tasks into smaller chunks. Okay, so let me just pause here and invite you for your comments with respect to teach that mistakes are growth opportunities and also chunking tasks. So any comments from any one of you?
For me, it's like, does your boss or your parents support you to try new things, allow you to making a mistake? So if let's say your parents are allowing you have the mindset that it's okay to make a mistake, right? So the child is more willing to try a new things, and also they are also more willing to admit their mistake. They will not become a defensive, oh, this is not, start to blame people. So you actually is helping them to build a good personality.
Yeah, thank you, Guo Ching. That's a very important mindset that as parents or even as leaders in organizations, to set the frame that mistakes are learning opportunities. Because yes, there are organizations and parents who set the frame that You must not make any mistake. If you make mistake, that's fatal, or you die, that kind of thing. So that creates more anxiety. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes. And also it build courage. Do you have the courage to try new things? Do you have the courage to admit the mistake? Do you have the courage to face the challenges? Or are you running away from be honest, running away being accept the truth, those kind of things?
Yeah, yeah. Now that you mentioned that, Guat Ching, we are talking about creating a culture whereby the home or the workplace is able to accept that people do make mistakes, and then what happens is that people can learn from those mistakes. So that's the culture that we want to create. Yeah. So thank you
Yes,
for sharing that.
no problem.
Now, let's move to the next two points. This one is also related to the part about encouraging, creating a culture whereby mistakes are embraced rather than being punished. This point is celebrate small wins, or the way that I normally do with myself and with my family is that celebrate all wins. Do not wait until the big success, the big event to put out celebration. You want to celebrate each win. Repeated failure can destroy perseverance, but the smallest success can encourage a child to keep going. So help them identify their little wins. For example, as parents, you can say that last time you spelled 6 words correctly. Today you got 8. That's a gain. You're improving because of your hard work. So when we chunk tasks into small tasks and allow children to do the small task, it makes it easier for them to succeed in that particular task. And every time they succeed, we celebrate it. And I think I've mentioned this one of my grandchildren right now, Eto. He's about 3 years old. He's at the stage whereby he wants to do everything that his big brother does. So whenever that they come to our house, he sees his big brother help grandfather to make coffee. He also want to make coffee. So what I did was that, okay, let him do the thing that he can do. So his hands are still small, so I cannot let him pick up the coffee cup. However, I said, okay, Eto, press this button in order to express the coffee. So when he does that and the coffee is expressed there, then I say, well done, you have just made coffee for mama. And helping him to bring it to mama, and when he puts it on the table, I teach him to say, mama, I made coffee for you. So in that way, the child begins to feel, hey, I've done something, I am good, and I am good in doing this thing, and I have succeeded in this area. So this is what we are referring to, celebrate all wins. And number 5 here is to stretch their focus. If your child wants to give up on an assignment, put a timer on their desk and set it for an appropriate length of time, tailored to their attention span. Explain that they just need to keep at it until the bell goes off. Then they can take a quick break and reset the timer. Encourage them to see how many problems they can complete before the bell dings, so that they see they are succeeding. Over time, focusing will get easier. And this is also important. Stretching their focus is important because we live in a society whereby our focus is continually being disturbed. So when children watch TV, there is commercial coming up. Even if they watch YouTube, the commercials will come in. So these are conditioning our children and ourselves to have short attention span. So what we want to bring to our children is to learn how to focus on a task for a period of time. Now, using timers and all that is useful because when they come to a challenge, to a difficulty, the automatic behavior is to just back off. However, when they have something like a timer, then they say, okay, the bell hasn't rung yet, so I just need to keep going. So in this way, we are conditioning them to stretch their focus. Okay, so let me just pause there and let me hear your comments and contribution. Go ahead. What's your experience?
Actually, I'm doing what you're teaching now, so it's okay for me so far. But stretching focus mean give her more choice, or let her know that she have more options. But I'm thinking maybe using the coaching question to ask whether she can see her own alternative by herself. I'm not sure.
Yeah, that is one. The other is depending on the age of the children. Most children, I would say below the age of 8, they are highly attentional. So when they do something, especially 6 and below, when they do something and they are facing a challenge there, their attention will go to something that is easier for them to do. So at that point in time, they are not yet intentional. Their cognitive development process has not come to that level yet. So by using time-based setting, we are teaching them to be intentional. And that's the life of a human being, being intentional in what you do. Now, as we grow, as we become an adult, we become intentional with respect to the outcomes rather than the activity. Little children, especially below the age of 10, below the age of 8, they are not yet intentional. So having these games like, hey, why don't you do this for 10 minutes? Why don't you do this for 15 minutes? We are doing two things. One is developing their focus. The other is now beginning to introduce into their life doing things from intention rather than from what attention that comes to their foreground. Yeah. So this is another aspect that we can look at over here. Yeah. Thank you. Guo Ching, anything from you? Are you okay?
Okay, nothing to add.
Thank you. So moving on to the next couple of points. This one is termed as correct stumblers. When kids give up, it might be because they can't see the way out of a challenge. So as parents, what we do is to start by acknowledging their frustration and express that it's a normal feeling. I mean, I get frustrated when I can't do something that I put my mind to. Similarly with children, they get frustrated. So what's the strategy that you want to teach your child whenever that they get frustrated when they cannot do something? So maybe you can try doing a breathing exercise or taking a break. Just like I was over the weekend, my grandchildren came over, and I introduced Sudoku to my to Hika and to Grasshopper as well. So, and Sudoku at certain level, it can be quite challenging. And I remember Grasshopper saying that, "Oh, my brain hurts." And I said, "Okay, why don't we take a break and do something else for a moment, and then we can come back here." So this is what we are referring to. If there are things that cause them to stumble, help them to overcome with that thing. Then when they return to the task, see if you can help them identify one small thing that's getting in the way. Yeah. For example, you can say things like, if they are doing their math sum, it looks like you're getting the addition and multiplication symbols mixed up. So to pinpoint or to problem solve one particular thing so that they can overcome that and continue. Yeah, so this is what we are referring to, correct stumblers. Once the issue is clear, practice focusing on the stumbler until they slowly overcome it. Yeah. And next one is praise effort. This cannot be said enough. And Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck discovered that when kids are praised for their intelligence, for example, when you praise them that they are smart, they are less likely to persevere. But when praised for their effort, for example, you work so hard on that, nice job, they are more motivated and work harder. So to stretch perseverance, praise your child's effort, not their grades or score. This may be this may be hard for some parents to do because their grades and scores are equally important. What we want them to the word is for them to identify is for them to identify with their score, with their effort. Yeah, this is separating person from behavior. The effort is the behavior part. So the goal is for them to be driven to succeed without extraneous motivators like grades or scores. And research finds that superficial reinforcers like grades and scores can actually reduce children's perseverance. So when your child succeeds in doing something, praise the effort that they put in order for them to succeed. And the benefit is that they come to value the effort. In as much they want to get the grades or scores, they begin to develop greater value for effort. So that in the future, in their lives, when they need to overcome bigger obstacles and they fail, what they do is that they'll put in more effort. That gives them that greater perseverance. Children who are raised by praising their results or their intelligence, when they grow up and they face obstacles and they fall, they say, "Oh, that's the limit that I can do, and there's nothing more that I can do after this." So this is why we want to praise their effort. Okay, and the next one is come up with stick it statements. Statements that reinforce their intention to continue to stick doing what they need to do in order to achieve the result that they want. Negative self-talk like "I can't do this" or "I'm not smart enough," this negative self-talk will derail perseverance. Help your child choose a short positive statement to say to themselves when things get tough. Remind them to repeat that statement out loud several times for a few days until they can remember to use it on their own. Things like, "Things don't have to be perfect. I will get better and better if I keep trying something like that. And Guat Ching, you are familiar with me giving the story about how grasshopper learn how to skip. And then when Nemi asked her, "Hey, Azara, how do you manage to learn how to skip so quickly?" And she says to Nemi, "Practice, practice, 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 Nemi." So this is for her, and somehow I've also taken that on myself, that when I want to do something and I don't achieve it, so it's about practice, 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 to stick to it in order for me and also for the children to persevere. So let me just pause here before we go to the final point. So Guat Ching, what's your comment? You also like Sudoku? Are you at intermediate or advanced level?
No lah, I am the basic one.
Yeah, I started playing Sudoku just for the sake of I need to keep my mind active. Watching TV, my mind becomes passive. So Sudoku, my brain is active.
It's get addicted. It's so addictive.
So be careful not to be addicted. Do that deliberately with the intention of um, stimulating the mind. And when I introduced Sudoku to my grandchildren over the weekend, I noticed that I introduced it to Hika and also to Grasshopper. I noticed that they'll put their mind to it, and because this is a challenge, to them, and they want to do it well, and they're able to really focus for a long period of time. And for me, seeing children able to focus on something that is productive to their brain, to their mind, is much better than mindless scrolling of YouTube video.
Yep. I got another mini game. Is like what it is not. So for example, I have a pen. So what else a pen can be doing? Let's say pen can be a weapon. A pen can be something to what else the pen can be done. It's very interesting.
Oh, the moment you mentioned about that game, it reminds me of the neurosemantic session that we had this month. Is about flexibility of meaning. That to be successful in life, we want to be able to be flexible in the way that we put meaning to things. So not only to have one meaning on something, to have Kozybski use the term infinite valued meaning. So something can mean so many things. So when you mention about that game, that part about infinite valued meaning comes to mind.
Yes. You can play with your grandchildren. So you will be surprised with their answer. Just anything. The shoes, if today is not a shoe, what it can be.
Okay. Nice. Thank you. What's the name of the game again?
What it is not.
What it is not. Okay. I'll remember that. So, Guat Ching, let's move to the last point for this evening. And that point is step back and let them figure it out. So this is a very powerful point, because what we are doing is we are empowering them. Yeah. So one of the things that as parents and also as a leader in the workplace is, for parents, never do something for your children that they can do on their own. Teach them how to do things when they are still not competent, when they are still not skilled. Help them to do it. Once they are able to do it, let them do it. Many parents, they step in too quickly because they are impatient. Oh, the child is taking too long to do this, so let me do it for you. So as parents, don't do something that your children can do on their own. Each time you fix your child's errors or do something for them, they increasingly learn to depend on you. So there goes the opportunity to develop perseverance. Once you know that your child can complete a task, take a step back. Allow them to embrace that feeling of accomplishment. And similarly, in the workplace, how we can condition the people that we lead in order for them to persevere. We do things in order to demonstrate, then guide them to do it. Once they know how to do it, let them do it. In the beginning, they'll take a longer time to do it. However, that's okay. To have that patience for you to step back and let them figure out the best way to do something. And with our children, similarly, what we want to do is that, especially putting on shoes. Right now, Shah takes quite some time in order to put on her shoes. So the natural tendency for parents that, okay, let me put it on for you. However, for her to really learn how to put on her shoes is for her to keep doing that. So step back and let them figure it out. So that's the last point that I'm bringing in. So Guat Ching, any comments that you like to make with that?
No, it's all good.
Okay. So yes, I've designed this session this evening to be a short session. So in about 45 minutes, 44 minutes, we've come to all of it. So let me hear, Guat Ching, what's your takeaway for this evening? We talk about the 9 things, the 9 ways that parents can help children to persevere. One is to fight the factors that discourage children, and children, they need every encouragement that they can. So as parents, we want to fight those factors so that our children do not become discouraged. Second one is to teach that mistakes are growth opportunities. This is equally true to children as well as to adults. The third one is to chunk tasks so that it doesn't appear too overwhelming. When you chunk it, small tasks at a time, then they have greater chances of accomplishing it. And this relates also to the fourth one, celebrate small wins. So meaning to say, when you chunk tasks into smaller units, then there are many small wins and there are many occasions for celebration. So that boosts their level of encouragement in order to do that. Number 5 is to stretch their focus, because we live in a world whereby information is demanding our focus to go there, to go there. You have Facebook, you have Twitter, you have TikTok. All of them are fighting for our attention. And as parents, to get your children to persevere, you want to teach them how to stretch their focus instead of being distracted by all of those surrounding us. Number 6 is correct stumblers. So when children are doing things, identify, is there something that's stopping them from completing that task? So identify that, help them to overcome that, and they can continue to pursue with the task. Number 7 is to praise effort instead of praising the person or intelligence, because when they notice that success is dependent on effort, when they not succeed in doing something, they will put in more effort, and that is at the core of perseverance. Number 8 is to come up with stick-it statement in order for them to remind themselves to continue doing. And number 9 is to step back and let them figure it out, because that's what we are here for, to help them to be more empowered. So those are the 9 things. So what's your takeaway for this evening, Guat Ching?
all this point, right, can use for self-leadership or parenting or even managing the office
Yes,
kids. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. So that's
You
why,
can use it anywhere. You just be flexible to use it.
yeah. So that's why the way that I see parenting and leadership is basically you are doing the same thing, leading someone or a group of people to achieve a certain goal. In parenting, you are leading your children so that they can develop, become responsible adults. In the workplace, what we call leadership is about leading a group of workers in order for them to achieve the organizational goal. So, parenting and cooperation both are leadership functions that we need to serve. So, yes, Guat Ching, whatever that we've discussed, the 9 points are equally valid in the workplace.
So the question, if let's say a good parent, is it a good leader in the office?
Not necessarily, because we need to identify people and context. So, a good parent may have learned the skills of parenting children, babies, children, and teenagers in bringing them to a certain goal. Now, when you go into the workplace, the context is different. Now, these are adults, and the way they process information, the way they respond to things are different. So, if the parent has been successful in parenting the child, when they are in the workplace, they need to make those adjustments. When we talk about leadership is a function of the leader, the follower, and situation. So there are three variables to leadership: the leader, the follower, and the situation. So in the context of parenting, you as the leader, you need to have the skills of children development in order to be effective. Your follower are people who are not yet developed; they are developing. And going back to the leader, your role there is not just to encourage. Your role as parent is also the role of instructing, because you are you are accountable to them. So that's why you have control over the behavior. Whereas in the workplace, you don't have control over the behavior of staff. You may only influence them into the right behavior. And the situation is different. At home, the dynamic of the relationship is different from the dynamic of the relationship in the workplace. So to be an effective leader, you need to be able to manage those three variables. So at home, the variables are different as compared to the office. So the successful leader is one who's able to make adjustment to his or her leadership competency by noticing what type of leader do I need to be, who are my followers, and what is the context in leadership. Does that make sense, Guat Ching?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah. I was just mentioning to someone today that we talk about the power zone, right? We are responsible for our four central powers: power of thinking, feeling, saying, and doing. Other people, they are responsible for their powers. So in the workplace, when we lead, since we are responsible to others for what we say and what we do, we take ownership only of what we say and what we do. We cannot take ownership of how people think, feel, and what they say and do. We can encourage, we can influence, but ultimately they are responsible for that. That's in the workplace. However, at home, because children are minor, below the age of 18, they are minor. And the accountability is on the parents. So at home, to some extent, the parents must take ownership of what the children say and what the children do. So that's why the dynamics of raising children and the dynamic of leading in the workplace are totally different. Because as a child is, let's say, below the age of 6, the parent must take ownership of what the child say and what the child does, because the child doesn't have content yet. The child doesn't know what is healthy and unhealthy. The parents need to let the child know. So that part of teaching and conditioning the child, the onus is on the parents. Whereas in the workplace, no, the staff, they are responsible for the behavior 100%.
But not a lot of people knowing this thing. So that's why so many headache.
Yes. That's why you have some staff who expect you to parent them. Okay. So, anything else, Guat Cheng?
No, nothing. That's all.
Okay. So with that, I'd like to thank you for being here. Just the two of us. Earlier we had Hannah join us. So I'm hoping that whatever that we have discussed this evening will be useful, especially for those who will be viewing this recording later. And I hope that it has been a useful time for you. And I'd like to again thank you for joining me here for this evening. And let's keep in contact with the things that you would like to discuss. We can continue those discussion offline. So with that, thank you, Guat Cheng, and look forward to seeing you in the next session. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.